Welcome back to the news at 10. Moving straight on to the federal capital city, here's Ivy Clem. Ivy.
Hello, Ijoma. We'll start with the Enugu State Governor, Ifeanyi Ugwuanyi, who has emerged victorious at the Court of Appeal in an appeal challenges his nomination as the People Democratic Party's flag bearer for the Enugu State governorship election. This court struck out the appeal filed by Senator Ayo Ogwueze for lack of merit.
The court held that the appellant in the main appeal 157/2016 did not, Senator Ayo Ogwueze did not have the locus to institute the suit in the first place in the Federal High Court, and thus they struck out the appeal. The reason they gave was that Senator Ayo Ogwueze himself admitted that he did not participate in the primaries held and conducted by the National Executive Committee of the PDP, and by the law, if he did not participate in that primary election, he then doesn't have the right to come to court to challenge a primary election in which he was not a participant.
The Supreme Court has fixed May the 12th for judgment in an appeal filed by People's Democratic Party governorship aspirant in the Abia State governorship election in 2015, Mr. Samson Oga. The Apex Court fixed the date after hearing submissions from parties in the suit. Oga, who contested the primary election with Governor Okezie Ikpeazu of the PDP platform, is asking the Apex Court to set aside the judgment of the Appellate Court, which upheld the nomination and subsequent election of Governor Ikpeazu. Appeals emanating from political cases usually attract a large crowd, and it was not different in an appeal before the Supreme Court challenging the nomination and subsequent election of Governor Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State. Dissatisfied with the verdict of the appeal court, which set aside a judgment of a high court ordering the removal of Governor Okezie Ikpeazu of Abia State for allegedly filing fake tax papers, and in his place ordered the Independent National Electoral Commission to declare him as the governor of the state, Mr. Samson Oga has approached the Apex Court. In his arguments, his lawyer, Mr. Alex Izinho, told the court that the case of his client was that Governor Ikpeazu was not qualified to represent the People's Democratic Party as its candidate in the March 2015 Abia State governorship elections. As such, the Court of Appeal erred in law when it gave its judgment in favor of the governor to the effect that his client founded his case on perjury against the governor. As expected, counsel to Governor Ikpeazu, Wole Olanipekun, urged the Apex Court to dismiss the appeal for lacking in merit. Olanipekun argued that it was wrong for the High Court to have persecuted and crucified his client for the offense of perjury for a public servant whose tax was deducted from source and confirmed by the Abia tax officers in the affidavit evidence. He therefore urged the Apex Court to uphold the findings of the Court of Appeal, which set aside the judgment of the trial court on account of a miscarriage of justice and based on a criminal matter that was not proved beyond reasonable doubt.
The argument is that where we were talking about perjury, which is founded on criminal allegation, but our pleadings did not say criminal allegation. These are two different things. False information per se, as provided by the Electoral Act, was the basis of our action, not perjury.
All the appeals have been taken. That's all. We've done our own part as lawyers, and we leave the rest to the Supreme Court to decide.
The judgment is expected to lay to rest the controversy surrounding the Abia State governorship election. The dust raised by the alleged murder of one Desmond Nunugwo while in the custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission in June 9, 2016 has refused to die down. This time, Amnesty International Nigeria has declared interest in the case, insisting that the matter would not be swept under the carpet. Mr. Nunugwo, a chief of protocol officer to the Minister of State for Defense, died in EFCC custody hours after he was picked up for questioning for alleged fraud. The family of the deceased has gone to Amnesty International office demanding for justice for the deceased. And we'll hand over to Anne on business news.
You first. First Bank. Thank you, Ivy. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's headline inflation rate for the month of January has increased by 0.17% to 18.72% year-on-year, beating analyst forecast, but it slowed to 1.01 from 1.06%. Data from the National Bureau of Statistics shows that the food index went up by 17.82%, by 0.43% recorded in December, but month-on-month it slowed to 1.29 from 1.33%. Food inflation was largely driven by staples as well as meat and fish. Core inflation, driven mostly by electricity and cooking gas, slowed to 17.9 from 18.1% year-on-year and rose by 0.68 from 0.62%. A group of professional Nigerians in the diaspora with footholds in London have launched the Lagos chapter of an initiative they call Nigerians in the Square Mile. The network is geared towards getting Nigerians around the world interested in the domestic economy and financial markets. The founding chairman of NISM, Mr. Paul Onifade, says the network looks to create an alliance between the London and the Lagos markets for better trading opportunities.
Maximizing investment opportunities are top among our priorities. Yes, we are professionals, world-class professionals. Our members work in the top level of many of the leading prestigious institutions, financial institutions in London. So we are not in Lagos for any other reason but to share with you what our experience is and to gain from you what your experiences are.
Establishing a Lagos chapter is a logical and crucial step in enabling NISM to deliver on its prime objective, which is serve as a think tank and contribute to the development of a vibrant and professional financial services industry in Nigeria. NISM understands the relevance and importance of leveraging the diaspora for the sustainable development of the Nigerian economy.
Contrary to analysts' expectations, the local equities market ended today's session positive, reversing the losses recorded in the last two sessions this week. Let's join Harriet Agbenyi for the summary. The Nigerian equities market got a breather today, recovering 39 basis points, following a rebound and positive performance by some highly priced stocks, including Dangote Cement. Market capitalization came in at 8.70 trillion naira, with the all-share index at 25,130.26. The activity chart sees higher transaction in contrast to Tuesday's trading, as investors traded a total of 161.93 million shares for over 1.79 billion naira in 4,216 deals. Banking stocks, Zenith, Sterling and GT Bank were the most actively traded. Despite a negative breadth of 10 gainers versus 10 losers, Forte Oil, 7-Up and Unity Bank were top gainers, while Airline Services, Guinness Nigeria and Continental Reinsurance led the decliners. Those are the day's trading figures. I'm Harriet Agbenyi. U.S. stocks opened higher today, with Procter & Gamble and Apple leading the way. With details on the U.S. markets is VOA Channels TV business correspondent Jill Malandrino from the Nasdaq market site in New York.
U.S. stocks opened mixed, although the Dow Jones Industrial Average touched another all-time high at the open, led by P&G, followed by Apple. Note that in a regulatory filing on Tuesday, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway disclosed that it has almost quadrupled its stake in Apple. Now, the Nasdaq Composite also set all-time highs. This is on the back of reaching record highs again yesterday on the major averages, with banks leading the way. Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen hinted to the Senate Banking Committee that the central bank would gradually raise interest rates sooner rather than later, along with an upbeat outlook for the economy. So that certainly boosted the S&P 500 as the banks compose about 10% of the index. Another thing is volatility has simply been muted as the Trump bump rally rolls along. Basically, there's been a lack of selling as traders rotate through sectors. Now, today marks a busy day of earnings, data, and speeches. Right now, Yellen is wrapping up her day 2 of her testimony on Capitol Hill on monetary policy, this time to the House. There are also several economic data points that have come out throughout the day. We might see some movement in the currency and bond markets off of that. The dollar again added to recent gains on Yellen's comments while oil slipped and gold remained steady. Now, traders continue to monitor the Trump administration's impact on global markets, particularly with the resignation of National Security Advisor Michael Flynn amid controversy over whether he lied about his contacts with a Russian official. So while the rally continues to march forward, I'm starting to hear some concern with traders that there's a big vacuum to the downside on executive order hopes because policy has not yet been implemented and timing is unclear. We'll have to wait and see if the run-up in stocks justifies what the balance sheets reflect. But until then, traders are not fighting the momentum in this tape. From the NASDAQ market site in New York, I'm Jill Malandrino, and this is VOA Channel's Business News.
Our European markets also edged higher today as Federal Reserve Chair Janet Yellen hints of a possible rate hike in the month of March. But as for Asian and African markets, they all ended mixed. Let's see the numbers. And that's Business News Tonight. Thanks for watching. I'm Anne Nwaladu. It's back to you, Ijoma.
You first. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. Now, Amnesty International is interested in the alleged murder of one Mr. Desmond Nunungo while in EFCC custody. And here's what we know.
It's too early. We're not demanding anything from them. Simple justice. Just to clear his name of this allegation. And I'll be okay. And I believe that the family also will be okay. I don't see why it's so difficult for EFCC to call the family and tell us we are sorry. Our men erred. We are going to take responsibility. I don't think that's a difficult thing to do. My husband's body has been in the mortuary for more than 8 months now.
So let me reassure the family again that we will not go to sleep on this issue until justice has been applied to this case. Let me tell you that Mr. Desmond Nunungo's case will not go down the drain. It will not go the way of others. Hopefully, we want to believe that through his own case, we will be able to also seek justice for thousands and thousands of Nigerians who have died in custody and nothing has been done about it.
A very sad one there indeed. Now, the federal government has raked in over 5.2 trillion naira in 18 months from various ministries, departments and agencies through its Treasury single account implementation. The Accountant General of the Federation, Ahmed Idris, says the TSA saves the government nearly 5 billion naira monthly from charges associated with indiscriminate borrowings from the MDAs. Our correspondent Omelogo Nnadi reports.
The Treasury Single Account TSA came into operation in April 2012. But it was not until August 2015 that the federal government demonstrated strong political will to make it thrive through the TSA circular, which directed all ministries, departments and agencies to transfer all their accounts from deposit money banks to TSA accounts with the Central Bank of Nigeria. 18 months later and 1 year anniversary of the full implementation of the Treasury Single Account, The Accountant General of the Federation says the gains are immeasurable, even as the President's Special Assistant on Economic Matters says there is much more ahead.
As at 10th of February 2017, that is just last week, the total inflow of funds through the mop-up and direct debits by Central Bank of Nigeria amounted to 5.244 trillion.
There's a need for a more active cash management regime that is better aligned with debt management and the development of new capital market instruments. It is moreover important to consolidate on the gains so far and to align the process with present-day realities. There remains more to be done to harness the benefits of TSA implementation.
The implementation of the TSA is made possible through the Remitter, a technology platform that links all banks through the Central Bank of Nigeria and the Office of the Accountant General. The brain behind the Remitter platform, John Obaro, says the TSA is a minimum requirement for good economic planning and cash management.
It creates a platform for the relevant officers in government to be able to have a bird's eye view of all this movement of funds. Now we can begin to speak to improved operational processes. We can begin to speak to utilization of the massive data that is now readily available to government.
Mr. Obaro says the challenges currently faced in the Remitter e-payments platform will be surmounted in coming weeks when he says a full mobile payments platform will be activated for easier transactions. Omelogo Nadi Channels Television News.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt insists he has no regrets about his decision to retire in 2017 as he continues to plan for life after athletics. That's on sport. Please stay with us.